map out sometime. That is huge. They've never even had a tenth. They've never even possessed a tenth of what God gave them. But they are going to have it all in the kingdom. And most of that is desert. It's Jordan and Iraq, northern Saudi Arabia, the Sinai Desert, the Desert of Sin, and yep, that's its name, Desert of Sin. Just south, the Negev, right? And I've driven through that thing. Man, that is a desert, okay? There's nothing out there but the occasional Joshua tree, nothing else. And scorpions and snakes. But all of that is going to blossom like the rose because God's going to make that happen. Now, have we seen that happen yet? Of course not. These are future prophecies. This is during the millennial kingdom. It's obvious that in the millennial kingdom, society will be primarily agrarian. If you read all the descriptions, that's what it's going to look like. Primarily agrarians. Go out farms. Okay? Not only that, but that'll be its primary focus. Our society focuses on the big cities, right? And the big money, the big construction, and that kind of thing. It's not going to be like that in the kingdom. Every man will sit, the Bible says, under his own shade tree and under his own vine. And so, he'll have his own land, and he'll work his own land. You might say, well, I don't like, who wants to farm? Farming is hard work, by the way. Well, the thing I would say is, there are a couple things I would say. First, when you have a guaranteed harvest, if you just do the work, that changes things dramatically. Second, the curse is lifted. It's going to be so much easier. Third, you're farming. Everyone is going to be leaving you alone. Doesn't everyone want to just be left alone? You're going to be left alone to farm. You're not going to have to obey stupid rules inside of a city tenement house. You're going to have your own land with your own home. Sounds a lot better to me. So that's clearly what the kingdom will look like, and we can see these blessings here. Verse 26, moreover, the light of the moon shall be as the light of the sun. Notice this. The light of the moon shall be as the light of the sun. And the light of the sun shall be sevenfold, as the light of 7 days, in the day that the Lord bindeth up the breach of his people and healeth the stroke of their wound. Well, what does that mean? Well, I think it means what it says. So, I was reading in David Cloud's commentary, and he said, naturally, under natural rules that we have today, were the sun brightened 7 times its present brightness, everything on earth would die. And he said, so it is possible that this is metaphorical language. It's talking about the knowledge of the Lord or something. Then he said, or God can change the rules because he's the creator, and it's literal, and it's going to happen just like it's described. And he said, that's what I believe. I agree with him. That's what I believe too. I think, the kingdom age is going to be different than our time. Our time is known as a time of darkness. It is absolutely a time of spiritual darkness. The church age, the age of grace, is known as this present evil world. It's referred to as a time of darkness and blindness, right? The world has access to the truth of God in a way it's never had before and will not listen. Chooses not to. No American has any excuse. The gospel is preached on every radio station, TV channel, through magazines, mailings, directly, person to person, in pulpits. And it's been that way for 300 plus years. There are no excuses, well, except for the radio, TV stuff. That's only been about, since they came out. But the gospel has been in this country ubiquitous, meaning everywhere, okay, since its founding. There are no excuses for this country. No country has received the kind of light that this country has received. And you can see how this is ending. Everyone can see it happening right in front of their eyes, right? It's like a slow motion train wreck. It's horrifying. But we can see it happening in front of us. Those that refuse to listen are rejecting God's counsel. They're choosing leaders for the purpose of shaking their fist at God. Now, they'll say to you, no, it's to preserve the rights of women. You mean to kill children. That's what you mean. Why don't you stop using fake terms, and let's be honest about this. You want to kill babies because they're inconvenient. That's all that is. That's shaking your fist at God. That's what you're doing. No, it's to make sure that the poor homosexuals can have marriages like everyone else. We just want to preserve rights of people who want to be free. No, you want to approve and promote perversity. That's what that is. You are shaking your fist at the God of heaven. Sodom and Gomorrah burned over this, and I know there were other things involved too. But let's be honest, there was a major reason Sodom and Gomorrah got burned to the ground, and it was going after strange flesh. So the Bible tells us. They were perverts and queers, and they got burned to the ground because of it. That's what God thinks about it. And our nation is now shaking its fist at him, saying, no, that's as good as a normal relationship. In fact, it's even better. So we can see how this is playing out in our country as people reject the light and reject the truth. So it could, when our age is referred to as a time of darkness, it does refer to spiritual darkness. I think that's true. But I think there's literal there too. I think the earth is dark. We don't see that because this is all we've ever known. That's just what it's what we know. Jesus said that the wicked love the darkness. Why? Because their deeds are evil and they want to hide in the darkness. Can't hide from God, of course. Right? I mean, it's ridiculous. I think you can. You're not even hiding from the demons and the angels. They see it, you moron. Everyone's on top of you. Even when you think you're alone. All right? You're not hiding from anyone. But that's why people love darkness, because to them, it feels like it hides their deeds. And their deeds are evil, and they want to do evil deeds. The moon's going to be as bright as the sun. So at night, during the kingdom, look outside, that's how it's going to look. It's going to be like Alaska, the northern part of Alaska, for 6 months, all the time. And I think it's literal. I think because it reflects, it's a physical change that will reflect a spiritual truth. And the Lord is like that, right? When he comes and is king on earth, he could not fix anything and just rule and reign and preach the truth and give you all kinds of spiritual light, but nothing happening. That's not what he's going to do in the kingdom age. He's going to make the desert blossom like a rose. Is that metaphorical? He's going to call all the nations to deliver tribute to him. They're going to travel from all over the world to bring tribute to him, and he's going to send Israelis out to every nation of the world to teach them about God, to teach them about him. Is that metaphorical? No, these are real things. They're really going to happen. And so I believe the change in the level of light is real. And whatever changes must be made to physics for that and biology for that to work, well, he's God. The idea that, that can't happen because, really? He flooded the whole planet, right? He created it with a word. Okay? He said, let there be light, and there was. Okay, so if he needs to do this, or if he wishes to do this, he'll just do it. And what's that?
He can brighten it up without the heat.
He can. He can do whatever he wants. Okay? So that's something he describes as being in the kingdom, and I believe it to be a literal reality. And it will be, I think, really something to see. Now, for us, we'll have glorified bodies by then, which in and of itself is exciting. But, it's going to be pretty neat to see, right? Isn't everyone excited to see justice being done on the earth? Aren't you tired of injustice? And we're not, we're human too, but there's a difference between being a failure, failing, that's living up to what you know to be right, and being corrupt and unjust. And that's what we see every day, and it's maddening. It tears countries apart, which is what's happening to ours. All right, so all of that to say, Some of you have been slacking on Friday night prayer meeting. We need people praying for this country. If you can make it, you should be here. This is a time of crisis. We have no hope to turn this country around. We cannot do it. But God can. He can decide to be merciful to our country. But we got to ask him. And we have to do it together, corporately in prayer. We have to get before him and ask him to save this country and protect it. To have mercy on it. To be long-suffering and patient and gracious. Because that's what it's going to take. And I know we're all busy. I know that. And I'm not trying to, and there's a lot of illness and injuries and other things. I'm not trying to be mean. But I just want to emphasize, this is a serious business, and we need to be praying for our country. This church has set aside a very specific time every week to do it. It doesn't take long. We're only here a half an hour, 40 minutes. It's nice to see each other at that point of the week anyway, right? I mean, that's about the time in the week when you're starting to, fall back into the bad habits of the flesh because it's been 2 days since you were in church. You're not going to be in it for another 2 days, right? Okay, it's a great time for us to all get together and see each other, and that prayer time, I think, is very important. It is important for this church. I believe it's important to God. I know we're just a tiny little church. I know that. It's not that I think God is going to change the course of the universe for us or the course of history. But you know what? He might. I'm not kidding. He might. He's done more for less reason. So, if you can make it, please do. All right. Many questions? Comments?